here we are in July 2025, awaiting the impending release of the new Honda Prelude. And already there's speculation there could be a Type R. This has been a topic of conversation for many months now. I believe it was back in February, maybe earlier 2025, that I released a video initially talking about the new Prelude and its introduction at I believe it was the Tokyo Auto Show, coming out with a 200 horsepower hybrid drivetrain, automatic. It's basically a Civic. And many people across the interwebs were speculating that perhaps Honda will come out with a higher performance version and satisfy some of these demands of people like myself, although I'm not demanding anything. But in a perfect world, when I think back to how I viewed the Prelude as a teenager in the early 2000s, I wanted it with a turbo, ideally, and all-wheel drive. And I don't think we're getting either of those things, just with the way that Honda seems to be going in terms of its drivetrain and layout. Everything seems to be front-wheel drive, which is fine. They do it extremely well, but when I look at what's available on the market, when I look at how they're teasing the Prelude, it is just unappealing. And even if they do come out with this Type R, it would have to be mated with the manual transmission to really get the attention and, quite frankly, the treatment that it deserves. Because you can take a CVT or an automatic or whatever this type of transmission is called and simulate gears. It's not the same as having a clutch and a manual gear shift and rowing through gears. It's just, doesn't matter what you say. There's a major difference between driving a manual gearbox with third pedal and some automatic box with simulated gears. Now, all of this is speculation. No one knows for sure. And truly, it's impossible to say what will come until it has actually arrived. So I went looking for more information because as you read through this article, this is from abuzz, the Type R rumors. There's also another one with Car Scoops, which I will link in the description. They both reference the same site, this GooNet, Japanese used car sales site. Some report that they released saying that a slightly sportier Prelude Type S or perhaps a Type R could launch in the fall of 2026. I can't find anything on this site that seems to have anything to do with news. And maybe I just haven't looked in the right spot yet, but it all appears to be related to selling used cars, buying used cars, and then I guess there are some articles here, but I have not been able to successfully search through this and find anything related to the Prelude. I don't think there's a search function on the site. Maybe you know a way to search and you can find the actual report, but until then, like, neither of these sites are actually referencing the report itself. If they know that the report exists, just put a link to it so we can read it. But it doesn't seem to exist. And also here in the abuzz, like I just said, Japanese classifieds website GooNet Exchange has a report. Where's the report? I don't know. Simulated shifts, though, look, from a pure performance standpoint, and I'm not going to beat this like I have in the past because we've already talked about this. Yes, from a pure performance standpoint, automatic gearboxes are quote unquote better. But someone who owns a Prelude is not almost certainly racing where it is so critical that they win. They need to completely change the style and characteristics of the car in order to gain a minute advantage that might propel them to victory. We're talking about people that are driving on the street. If you can't manage a manual gearbox on the street and you're so set on performance that you have to have an automatic and gain that 20 or 30 millisecond, maybe it's different advantage, there's something potentially wrong with you. Or maybe there's something wrong with me for saying that a manual gearbox is this important, but it's hard to argue that you can take a car that they're reviving, a car that is known for having performance rooted in the analog aspects of operating a motor vehicle, and say like, oh, just disregard that. We're advancing. Automatics are the future. I don't think that they're going to land a home run with the core potential customer base by avoiding a manual gearbox, because just look at the car. This is not, there's a better picture here. It's a Honda Civic. I own one of these. They started making it in 2016. Why would they do this? Probably because if you were to take this portion of the car and like set it back a little bit, and then, I don't know, maybe offer it in something other than front wheel drive, you basically have either a BRZ or a GR86. So they, it's like they're cheaping out. Honda has cheaped out, stolen 90% of a Honda Civic, borrowed the drivetrain from another vehicle, and then just slapped a name on there of Prelude, and then expect people to gravitate toward it like they would have back in the day. We'll see how it plays out over the next couple years. I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope they launch a manual Type R or Type S version of the Prelude. That would be fantastic. But I remain skeptical. Drop your comments below. Happy to hear your opinions, thoughts, any information you may have to share. Do you plan on buying one? Are you going to hold out for a manual or a more higher performance platform? This is probably the second, maybe third or fourth video that I've released on the new Prelude, and they generally get decent attention with some very insightful comments. So I look forward to seeing what you have to say. I appreciate your time. Take care. Peace.